Right, good morning. Send you all some warm, positive vibrations. I hope you rested well so you can get your day off to a great start. Welcome to my channel. This is Body Culinary, aka Kwasa Peaceful Eating. And this morning I wanted to come in and connect. Shout out to all of my early risers, first of all. And this morning I wanted to connect about joy, style, fitness, and fashion, and what actually is the cost, the true cost, and actually how much do they cost. That's what we're going to chat about this morning. So if you're interested in this communication, feel free to stick around. If you're interested in the content on this channel, which is by the greetings, which is, by the way, if you're new here on this channel, I share some of my journey of radical self acceptance. And what that looks like is really being creative and celebratory, right? With the features that I have been divinely assigned. I am not anti makeup, though I do really appreciate uh, being able to wear my own skin as someone that's had a tremendous amount of acne. So, health is my number one priority. I would actually say I prioritize being easy and free in my body and health. Health is my number one beauty product. So, that comes down to my movement and my food. And on this channel, I share three what I would call leverage lifestyle practices. Leverage because they give you back so much more for your investment of time, focus, energy, attention. Hopefully, you're curating and really getting something back for your investment. We're constantly investing. So I like good investments. If I'm investing something, I want reciprocal relationships. I want to get something back for my investment. If it's not a good investment, that means I just spent a whole lot of time. I depleted myself. I used up a lot of my time, and I'm not getting anything back from my time. I could have been having a joyful movement practice. I could have been putting seeds into the garden. I could have been reading a good book. I could have been taking a nap. So I'm really conscientious of getting something back for my time. So that's a principle, right? And principles, I would say, come with wisdom or life experience, which is different, my younger flowers, my younger folks, from just acquiring a whole bunch of information on the internet. Information without a context, without a frame of reference, is not wisdom. You can have a lot of information and actually jack yourself up. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. It's Body Culinary. Feel free to like, um, comment respectfully, and subscribe, right? Healthy boundaries are always in order. I don't have the only perspective. I am a personal trainer and a fitness coach in health and fitness for over 35 years. I've done competed in fitness and pre-postnatal certified, worked at Equinox for over 10 years, worked at Heal Thyself many years ago in the 90s, where I first was introduced to whole fresh living foods. Whole fresh living foods and unprocessed foods is the way I like to consume for many years now, which is not a diet. So I always knew, even in my fitness competition days, I always knew that I did not want to live on a diet. So I really prioritize principles of living that are sustainable, no matter what happens in terms of where I live or what type of work I choose to do. If I choose to move around or to live abroad, I like knowing that I don't have to be dependent on a health food store. I don't have to be dependent on the location. I can always eat and eat well in any kind of situation. And I prioritize my health and my vitality. I'm thinking long term, right? I worked in industries where I've seen people really suffer based on cumulative habits over the years. So I'm very present to the cost, the real true cost of things, especially when it comes to my vitality. I know that I don't want to be on insulin and taking needles because I don't like needles. So I apply those principles across the board when it comes to health, when it comes to my hair. I prioritize ease and relaxation. Actually, I think we deserve to feel comfortable in our own divinely assigned hair and skin. I also understand that women, definitely Afro women, we're extremely creative, right? And we have such creative hair. We're always switching up our hairstyles every 10 seconds. And it is such a relief and a joy to know that I don't have to dramatically alter myself in order to feel attractive and feel comfortable in my own skin. I would actually say that our own hair is a well-kept secret. And I'm someone with very, very fine, kinky textured hair. I don't use any oil. I don't use any conditioner. I don't twist my hair. Maybe I have 30, 31 locks, and I'm really, really comfortable. I'm increasingly comfortable with my hair. If it was ever receding, I would likely shave it all off. So the hair has whatever meaning you assign to it. So it's all connected to this lifestyle. So joy, style, fitness, and fashion. How much do they actually cost? Now, I'm someone, like many people, I've spent a lot of money on clothes and fashion. A lot, a lot. Actually, if I really look at it honestly, I would say that most of it was money that went in the garbage because I've had so much. I remember having this beautiful shearling Enrico Caveri long to the floor purple shearling coat. That was a hot coat. If I had it now, still, well, can't wear it in the environment I'm in now, but that was a beautiful coat. But I gave it away to the Salvation Army or something. I spent so much money for that coat. I spent so much money for so much fashion. And although I went through so many different experiences, I didn't know a lot of that could have gone to land, it could have gone to travel. And I quite often think about what I would tell to my younger self or just wisdom I've acquired over the ages. So I remember taking home economics and learning how to bake cakes in school when that was still a thing, when it was still wood shop and it was still home ec. I don't know that that's a thing anymore. But I remember these different life skills. And I would have to say a life skill is definitely budgeting. That's something I prioritize with my child. Um, Learning how to budget and learning how to manage your money, especially when it comes to, when you finally get your first job. I remember when I got my first job, I couldn't wait to spend it to buy everything that I wanted. So I learned how to budget my money. I remember a time I was spending like crazy, especially when I got one of my first good jobs coming out of high school. And you're making up for what you feel that you didn't have and trying to keep up with fashion. If you're going out, we're constantly, I can admit, we are deeply affected and influenced by celebrities. When I was coming up, we often had the Black hairstyle magazines, and we used to cut the pictures out of the different celebrities. Back then, it was Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, Lauryn Hill. Even before that, whatever the popular, I don't even know, we didn't call it hip hop back then. We just called it rap. But whoever were the current R&B singers, we mimicked their style, right? And that's what we put up on the wall. I'm a Soul Train baby, so I came up on Soul Train. Greetings, Afro Carry Naturals and CMO Mo. So I came up, I'm a Soul Train baby. I remember when American Bandstand, some people probably don't even know what American Bandstand is. I remember when what I call the fake Soul Train, no offense to the light-skinned brother that came on after Don Cornelius, but it just wasn't the same, right? It's like when the Smurfs, people probably don't know that cartoon. I came up on the original Saturday morning cartoon. So I remember when they started to shift to looking more digital, where the mouths just went like this. So it wasn't as much work or quality that went into the animation. So my eye is trained differently. After years of spending so much money on clothes, right? Also spending so much money on books. And I've had so many libraries. Like I really treasure books. I remember at some point, libraries stopped taking books, which I think is crazy and shocking. But when I think about the things that really mean something to me and the things that I enjoy and distinctions, right? How I want to feel in clothes, things are a lot more simpler. And if I knew then what I knew now, I could have saved myself so much money and time, for example, learning how to style and learning silhouettes. Who's talking about that? Nobody's making all these distinctions. So I'm a petite in terms of height, 5'2". People think I'm skinny, which is relative. Sometimes people project this stuff. But I've exercised for years, so my body composition, I have a decent amount of muscle mass. So I'm about 130, 135 pounds at 5'2", though I don't look like it, right? So shout out 5 a.m. workout. But I've also learned over the years the silhouettes of clothes that complement my body type, right? I'm very straight like this. I'm rounder in the back. I don't think most of us need a BBL, but that's my opinion as someone that's a trainer, knowing that the glutes are functional. If we had learned as a life skill how to be able to find colors and clothing that are creative, satisfy our need for creativity, and complement our body types. And very, very important, complement our own hair, our own crowns, our divinely assigned crowns. Life could be so much more easier and so much more enjoyable. So today, this early day, as I like to play dress up and dress up in clothes, but I don't spend so much money in clothes. Now, for folks that are always trying to hit me up and pursue me, that does not mean that I'm cheap. Not at all. So investment is required because organic costs, the seeds for my garden costs, education costs, travel costs. So I've reprioritized where I spend my money and my time and my energy. That's actually been a principle and a practice. Hint, hint, my flowers. That's been a principle and a practice for many, many years now. I prioritize rich experiences, right? I like really, really beautiful, delicious food. I like quality food, even if it's my berries or fresh cacao. I love fresh, seasonal food. I don't want the food that's going to sit on the shelf for years and years. I want what's fresh because fresh food, those are my vitamins. Those are my beauty products. Actually, I just finished giving myself a facial. So as someone that's had a lot of acne, I really prioritize being able to wear my own skin. We have the option if we want to play in makeup. I'm also at the same time very conscientious of dumping chemicals through my skin that's going to affect my brain, right? Day after day after day for years and years. We may not want to think that that stuff affects us, but it does. Now, I'm not here to tell you not to wear your toenail polish or not to groom yourself because I'm heavily into grooming. Though ease and simplicity and not driving myself crazy is really important. And so I feel pretty grounded, right? And that's something that I have cultivated. When I say grounded, really, really comfortable in my own skin. And I'm very protective of that as a mindset, as a psyche, if you will. I'm protective of that because I know that I'm going to age, even with whole fresh living foods and a daily movement practice. It gets old. The body gets old. That's what it's supposed to do. And as far as I can see, I don't know. It doesn't really resonate with me putting plastic or caulk, bathroom caulk inside of my face. Like, I don't know. I think I've really retrained my eyes. And I've shared in some of my older videos that there was a time many years ago where I wasn't a big makeup wearer, right? Always had a little natural lip balm, a lip gloss, and maybe some eyeliner, mascara. That's pretty much it, right? That's what I like. I was never a big eyeshadow, but I could appreciate creativity. Like every now and then I would play around with blue, what do you call it? Mascara. So I like being creative. Yeah, I like looking like myself. I like my nose. But I remember coming up with Michael Jackson when he still had his original Afrocoid features. And I remember the album cover changes. And I remember, looking at the album cover and I was like, he looks different. I'm like, I'm a little girl. I'm like, did he cut his nose? And just mimicking. I remember going into the bathroom and like this and sucking in my nose and saying, I want my nose to be like Michael Jackson. Now, I can admit that there's not any discernment going on there. I'm looking at the album cover. I remember the Thriller album. I remember his nice little outfits, the Off the Wall, like the older albums. I really like the way Michael Jackson looked. I came up on the Jackson 5 cartoon. I don't know if y'all remember that. Oh, that was one of the best cartoons. I love the Jackson 5 cartoon. I came up on the original Jackson 5 cartoon where they had the little cat and the animals and they all had their afros. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. And I remember the programming went off at a certain hour, right? That was real cartoons. And I got to see somebody look like me with my nose, but then he changed it. So if I look back, I can admit that we're extremely impressionable, even as we mature as adults, as a species. We copy and we mimic things, and it's not bad or wrong, but things we find attractive, or as women, we look at other people and how they're getting more attention, and we want to feel attractive, part of our wiring. We want to feel part of a group. That's not necessarily wrong, but not understanding our psyche is how we'll easily manipulated, right? We can be actually manipulated. I call it comes through the back door into low esteem or things or actions that may seem like it's supposed to be so positive. But in your quiet moments, you're doing all this positive, buying of all these products. But at some point, it takes a turn and you can't get enough of spending. And maybe some of you folks can relate if you have this kind of hair that it never looks quite right. It's like you're struggling. It starts to become a sense of anxiety because you're looking at everybody else and they're getting compliments and accolades. They're getting chosen and you're not getting chosen because you have this might not be y'all, I'm just telling you from my experience. You have a super duper struggle bus ponytail that's no bigger than the size of your finger and it's struggling to fit inside these little greasy, this hair grease and rubber bands. Because when I came up, there was no styling gel. It was water and grease. We were slicking and packing that grease on and trying to slick it back. Actually, I just saw technology, right? I just saw these silicone ear covers so that when you're getting your hair straightened, that your ears don't get burned. I was like, wow. I'm bugging because I remember getting my ears singed and you can see the meat. Oh my gosh, that was so painful. Torture. That comb was extremely hot. So that hot comb was coming right next to your skin. And I used to have chemical burns from perms. Like if I think about it, from a no-lie relaxer. I had when my hair dried, that first perm that I begged my mother for, that I know anything about until I saw my cousin. Shout out to my cousin, love you. And they come on this channel, and I was looking at my cousins, right? Because before I got the Caribbean plaits, right? My dad is from Barbados, so my mother gave me the little Caribbean plaits, the little box braids, and you connect them, and they laid, like the little Haitian girls used to get the bows in them. But my hair was healthy, and that was a little ritual. We would watch little black and white programming on TV. My mother would let me get a little taste of her food, and she would braid my hair. Sometimes I got popped with the comb if I wasn't keeping my head still. But my hair was healthy, right? When my mom was doing my hair. But when I encountered my cousins and they had the Barbie doll heads, the vanilla Barbie doll heads, which didn't look anything like us, I was influenced. And they have that. Why can't I have that? I want that too, right? So if we just think about the psychology, the psyche of we want to be included, we want to be validated, we want what everybody else has. Like if we're honest, how is it that we have arrived, not making it bad or wrong? Do you? But how did it that we arrived at putting these foreign substances that have no nerve endings in our backsides for a trend? And trends come and they go, and we're altering our bodies permanently with substances that don't belong in the body, not really considering could they cause cancer just by the very nature of their substances that don't belong in the body. I ain't telling no grown folks what to do. I'm not the hair police. I'm not the food police. I'm in prioritizing ease and comfort. Cassia plant, also called king of the forest in the Caribbean. It is very good for liver spots on the face and overall skin in general. The tea can be drank too for a liver cleanse. Oh, that's wonderful. Are black locticians located in Belize? I think there may be a few. I don't know if they call themselves locticians. I feel like Central America can be a bit behind. It's behind the times in terms of some technology, just trends. Some technology, the gym equipment and stuff is older. So maybe perhaps there's some. One of my friends pointed out, she was like, oh, wow, you and my sister was like, and one other girl, she's like, I don't really see many people here with locks, right? So there's a lot of, you have the Garifuna people. Maybe if you go down to what I call Garifuna land down in the South, you would see more people with locks. I will say I see a lot more of the young chocolate girls wearing more Afro puffs. Many years ago when I was visiting now as a young adult Barbados, that's one of the first places where I saw so many chocolate women and so many chocolate people with locks, like so many people like with locks in Barbados, like decades ago. So that really made an impression on me. And then my grandma Lou and my great grandma Jean, they wore their natural hair. I always saw my grandma Lou, I talk about all the time. She wore her natural hair, and I just have this image of her because she's the most pleasant and present human being I have ever encountered. She was very comfortable in her hair and skin. So she's somebody I was able to compare and contrast, right? I'm like, wow, why is everybody else so angry And grandma was not angry. She wasn't rich, but she was so pleasant. She was so wealthy in that she always had food to share. Just her whole demeanor. I don't really encounter people like her. Like I always wonder why she was so just pleasant, so cheerful and so pleasant, right? So she stands out, right? She really set the bar. Me being able to experience her without an agenda, without a hidden agenda, her always sharing, right? So I don't know. I just recently experienced another family member, one more matriarch who was almost, I think, a year shy of 100, 98, 99. My son's great grandma just transitioned. So if you've been blessed enough to have a grandmother or a grand elder around, you're really fortunate. Or if you have an auntie like that in your family who, the way they carry themselves, have so much love to give and also live their lives with a sense of order. But really being able to watch her comfortable in her own hair and skin. I didn't watch grandmother wear a whole lot of makeup. And actually, when I would go to the Bayesian side of my family's house, my sister, who was raised in Barbados, I was raised in the States. My sister and my cousins, when it was time for back to school, they still had McCormick dress patterns. And my grandma and my cousins, they were making dresses. They got prepared, just like they made uniforms back home in the Caribbean. Even in Brooklyn, New York, people were making their own dresses for school. Now, my grandma on my mother's side, my great grandma, I had her old sewing machine. And so it was in a beautiful wooden table that folded down. So I was in high school and it was sitting there. No one was using it. My great grandma Mackie, when she passed. And I asked, I don't know, I became interested in fashion. I was like, can I use that sewing machine? Nobody else was interested. So my grandpa oiled it up and he showed me how to thread the needle. And when I think back to that time, I didn't have any resistance to thinking that I couldn't do something. I just saw the sewing machine. I was interested and I just picked it up. It had the foot pedal. We had to pedal it and also had the hand crank on the side of it. And I was just excited to make something. I feel like today, I don't know, something with the culture today, we need like so much permission. Something psychological is happening. I don't think we have a lot of confidence. It seems like we need permission from celebrities before we will do something. It's like we don't really go for stuff, right? We talk about a lot of self love. We've got makeup on, we've got all the accoutrements, we've got a whole bunch of apartments and houses full of stuff. But it still doesn't read a lot as confidence because if we were so confident, why would we have to really dramatically alter ourselves? So, I don't know. Again, I'm not the hair police, I'm not the food police, but I've been around long enough where I pick up on what I call my eyes are different, right? My mother would say, and I don't repeat all sayings. I like to investigate all sayings and all love songs because some of them are not working. But my mother would say, if you live long enough, right, life will learn you. So I would say that my eyes are different now. My eyes are trained differently, right? Like the time where I took off even my little mascara and my little natural lip balm, which was kind of scary to me because I felt like when I took off the mascara, and I have long eyelashes on my own, I don't feel like I need, what do you call it? I don't need faux eyelash, and that's just too much. I'm not doing all of that. I'm not turning myself inside out. But I felt like when I took it off, I was cognizant of my internal dialogue, right? Like, and maybe y'all can't relate. I was like, ooh, like, let me put it back on, right? I didn't like that. Something didn't feel right, right? When I take something off, I don't feel good about myself. I didn't like that. So I took off my little natural lip balm, and sometimes I would wear like brown little matte lipsticks back in the day, inexpensive lipsticks or my eyeliner. I took it off. I even took off my earrings. And I did that for actually a few years. And even clients, right? My high-end clients were like, aren't you even gonna wear any lip gloss? Or like they were wondering, like, what are you going through? But I took myself through that because I wanted to feel comfortable without having to do something to myself, right? Like the first time when I cut my Jerry curl, which I was using it as a blowout back in the day, when I cut that out of my hair and I cut my head a big fro, but it was actually a Jerry curl blowout, still a perm. But when I cut it out, it was such an epiphany. It was an epiphany. It was an epiphany to me that I did not have to alter myself to feel attractive. Like I felt like, oh, I felt I was looking at myself with new eyes. I never felt so stunning and attractive. I couldn't stop looking at myself. And my first cut was with like a little rounded Nefertiti cut. I wonder if I have but I don't talk about it like, yes, I do, which I found in Central America, right? Because I gave a lot of my books when I really prized my books when I was leaving, traveling in the States. And how funny is it that I'm in Central America and I come across this book and I remember when it was being written because I was right there with one of my mentors. And I walked inside this bookstore and I found this book. Let's see if we can find it. Some of you will recognize it. Yeah, someone was like, why don't you talk about it a lot? Because I like to think, oh, wow, so much in here. I remember when this book was being written. Oh, gosh, it's bringing back such memories. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, why don't you look, girl? Why don't you just look through the index? But I found this book and it had a picture of me with my first haircut. And then the next week I went back. I went back to the store. Oh, here we go. Sacred Movement, page 177. Went back to the store. I went back to the barbershop and told them to take it all off. Just take it all off because I saw a black model named Kimmy Kane back in the day, who was a voluptuous model, who was the model for Patrick Kelly, who's no longer here. And yeah, I said I want that cut. Now my boyfriend at the time was like, if you cut your hair off, I'm gonna leave you. So I was like, oh, here it is. Ah, this is a long time ago. So in this book, I was there when it was being written. So I went and I had my hair. That's one of my first haircuts, right? So I believe my son was just turning 2 at the time. So this is one of my mentors for years ago, back in the day, right? Inside of this book. So how is it interesting? I find myself in this book inside Central America. So first week was the rounded Nefertiti, and then the next week was I just shaved it all off, and I never felt more attractive. And so I just felt like it was a hidden secret, right? Taking off all my hair. First of all, I didn't have to alter anything to myself. I could play around with different earrings. I just felt so free. I can get in the shower, talk about wash and go. No issues with my scalp. I didn't have to torture myself. That's the main thing. I did not have to torture myself to look attractive, not just pretty, right? Because I'm just very clear, conditioning is what it is, and I'm not going to be everybody's cup of tea. But I really am my cup of tea, and I'm intentional about enjoying my human suit, even as I mature through the different phases of life. I want to enjoy my hair and my skin. They're part of the features of being a human being until I'm mature, or what some people would say are old. Um, as far as I know, that wasn't really part of our culture before, at least African American culture. That was not a part of Afro people's culture where we ran away from or we were frightened of our bodies aging, right? If you think of your grandmas and stuff like, you hug them with their wrinkles and there were like lots of good memories. I'm like, that seems like it shifted in the last decade and a half, right? If even so, something has shifted where we are like we picked up habits from other cultures or popular culture that I don't think serve us. I would even say it's causing some mental and emotional instability, right? So this ain't everything, but this is an option, especially as someone that has very fine hair that didn't want to take to the perm, which was a big clue right there. So although there are lots of things, I really temper my words on social media. I'm not a big cusser, but I can cuss. It's not all. I'm making an effort to be very intentional with my words, but some of the stuff that I see online, again, I'm not a prude. But sometimes I'm like, oof, if someone doesn't say anything, I think there are repercussions to not speaking up or folks that have acquired some life experience and wisdom, not leaving a trail of anything behind for those that are coming behind us, right? I got to look at my auntie's her yearbook pictures and see her beehive. So I was just thinking this week, not the first time, that I was actually really influenced by seeing that picture of my auntie with her beehive. I wanted that hairstyle, and I actually tried to mimic her beehive in my junior high school graduation. So looking back, I am and have been influenced by my grandma being comfortable in her skin. So I could never imagine my grandma turning herself inside out with makeup. And not that there's anything wrong with makeup, but she didn't turn herself inside out. And she was very secure and I think mentally and emotionally healthy. And that has a cost. That also has a value when we lose that. We have more makeup, more stuff than we could ever wear, ever wear. Yet it's palpable. You can sense that we're actually not confident, because if we are so confident, if we felt that our hair was the absolute best for us, even if we're being creative, right? I see quite often, right? Even though we have a lot more natural hair, it's a large portion of us that are constantly trying to make our hair do something it can never do, to the point where we're destroying our body's ability to produce hair, right? And then it's like there's a disconnect because we look confused as to, I don't know why my hair is falling out, or um, there's a group or several groups that I came across recently of other fine haired ladies on Facebook. And so all of the women in one area, and I get it, to be concerned about your hair falling out, right? If my grandpa say a woman's hair is a glory, okay, that's not all of our glory. But there's this fear of our hair falling out, and I can dig it, right? But at the same time, we're doing things that are damaging the hair, right? We're messing with it so much, so I don't tweeze my eyebrows anymore, and I actually retrained my eyes to appreciate my natural eyebrows. I do have a little shea butter routine that I do with them, but that's it. And that's something I chose because I saw like my hair doesn't fully grow back. Why I used to tweeze it and thread it so much. So I could discern that I was damaging, right? If I kept doing what I was doing, I likely won't have any eyebrows, right? Some of the mascara, some of the cheaper ones, when you go to use your makeup remover, and the hair does shed, right? Hair does shed. But I noticed when I would take off the mascara, I would lose a lot of my eyelashes. And I was like, I like my eyelashes. So most of the time, especially when I'm working out, a lot of times I would use food, or I would use different types of castor oil, coconut oil, natural oils that are around the house for my eyebrows and my eyelashes. Plus, if you exercise a lot and you're in the garden a lot, then you have a bunch of raccoon eyes as it melts into your face, especially in the hot weather. So I need my lifestyle to be functional because I'm prioritizing movement. The garden is a priority for stress relief and how it makes me feel. My movement practice is a priority because of how it makes me feel. And so today, in the climate of social media, there are so many women of all ages, and especially so many young women, but older too, of varying ages. Everybody's medicated, not to make it bad or wrong, but I could never imagine years ago so many people on medication. And I've thought of it for years, just one woman's perspective, not necessarily the truth. I think a lot that is medicated would ideally be taken care of in safe community, right? All these therapists, ideally, just like the old folks home, right? We didn't have old folks home and a bunch of babysitters. I still remember both of my great grandmothers living in the house. That was not a consideration to send people away to strangers, and several generations of children and grandchildren around, right? So much wisdom and how to take care of the chicken pox, the measles, if you had a rash, it was passed on. A lot of that was lost with those different matriarchs passing on because they're keepers of culture. And I'm here. I'm a natural born woman. Shout out to you, whatever your expression is. I can appreciate all forms of expression, though I think in terms of keepers of the culture, in a sense, definitely the pattern of women being the keepers of herbs and administering herbs. With all of gender fluidity and expression, nothing wrong with that. But what I still see is as we age, the main folks that are still taking care of the older folks and the men, it's still women, right? So their basic life skills. It's one thing to dress up fashionably, but the responsibility of masculine and feminine. And again, it's not locking us into roles, but just certain types of pattern and things that we gravitate towards. It's still women. It's still women. So for us not to have a grasp of what herbs to use for our own yanis, to me, I think it's kind of, I don't know, sometimes it's astounding that we don't have a basic working knowledge of what to do for our yanis to keep them healthy and also preventatively, right? If we have children and we have partners, having a basic working knowledge of the anatomy of the skin. Think of all the different complaints that family members will come with. Ma, I got a rash here. Ma, I got this bump here. Mommy, why is my face breaking out? Mommy, what is this bump over here? Or telling a woman about breast massage. I do a lot of breast and stomach massage, right? So that's going to be passed on to my adopted, godchildren or the young women that are around me because that is a habit, the wisdom of that, how it makes you feel. There's a lot of information that is not being passed on, right? Many of the or several of the men that I have, well, it's not that many, but a few of the men that I have encountered in my life that I've been partnered with had grandmothers in their lives. And these men knew how to cook, they knew how to sew, how to iron their clothes, they knew how to shop, right? Usually you would find that old school men from the South and old school men or men raised by their grandmothers for a time in the Caribbean. They usually had some basic skills. So I remember with my son, I remember having somebody come over to paying him to give my son a sewing lesson. And my son became very proficient shopping with me and then sending him shopping and understanding shopping prices per pound. When I used to eat fish years ago, teaching him how to shop for a fish, what to look for in terms of the eyes and the gills and all. These are all life skills, right? Telling my son about vintage clothing and consignment shops years ago, things he probably couldn't even conceive of. But I always looked at these things, even budgeting, giving my son a budget book about money as a little boy, right? Because I see these as life skills. So a lot of this, and the whole context of it is not being transmitted. We're looking at a look that is often an absence of character, right? We don't know these strangers online. We'll call many people our family or our tribe, but it's easy because you don't have to interact with them. You don't have to experience them when they tell you no, or when you have a falling out, or when resources are short, money or food. Yet we call everybody our family. And so the wisdom, the maturity, the distinctions are not in there. So when it comes to joy, style, fitness, and fashion, there's so much I think that could save us so much time. So again, I prioritize, I think more important things are securing yourself, whether that is an apartment, a house, or land, or just really thinking about your future. Not even if you don't have it all together, who really does? But just having it on your radar, right, is more important, just as important, more important than the clothing. And so having that as a principle and a standard that can help you balance that. Okay, I still enjoy fashion, but I know it's very important for me not to break the bank. And I know that there are ways I can get my fashion on. I can be creative and find styles that complement my body and my hair, those natural silhouettes, without going broke. Super duper important life skill because that's one of the most important things, right? Is how we carry ourselves, how we feel in our hair and skin is super important. When you feel really good in your hair and skin, you don't really need to do much. You can put on jeans and a t-shirt. But expression through fashion is something most of us encounter. Usually as children, we're not thinking much about it, right? But when you reach a certain age, right, when you start to be attracted to other humans and you start expressing yourself, you start to want to explore more in fashion. So I would say I absolutely adore vintage fashion. And again, we mimic folks, right? We repeat. We want to feel included and accepted and validated. I saw a picture of my mom in a poodle skirt. So again, it's an old old fashioned, like, vintage fashion, very full skirt that came way past the knee. They had fuller slips. And I really love seeing my mother in that poodle skirt. So that in my mind's eye, she had saddle shoes too. I remember getting a pair of saddle shoes because I was mimicking what I saw my mom do. And I have that picture in my mind, so clear in my mind, of my mom standing there all demure in her poodle skirt on the playground. So that's a fond memory that she shared with me. She probably doesn't even know how that picture affected me. I remember looking at pictures of my grandmothers and my great grandmothers. One of them who was morbidly obese. I used to think she was very mean, but now looking back on it with mature eyes, I'm sure she had a lot of unprocessed trauma. Many women didn't have a language, a lot of women's pain and frustrations. They didn't have an outlet. All they had was religion. So I can understand. I perceived it as mean, but it was a lot of frustration, right? And not having outlets. But I'm sure that contributed to her being overweight in terms of sedating with food. So I'm someone from a young child always likes to understand, why are people behaving like that? Why are we doing bad things to ourselves and to each other? That doesn't make sense, but it must be for a reason. And that's how my mind is thinking. So when I think of fashion today, right? So I have this little hat on, which I love this hat, right? So if I think of the silhouette, I love the silhouette of this hat. Very, very inexpensive. I'm really loving my hair. This is one of my things I'm playing with my hair. And time and again, time and again, time and time and time again, not only do I not see, I did find princesses, right? A Dahomey princess with low haircuts. And I love looking at the women in Uganda and other parts of Africa with very, very low haircuts that look stunning, right? That was very inspirational to me when I cut all my hair off. But now that I've let my hair grow and it's kinky and it's cottony, it has an interesting color. I'd like to enjoy my hair as it transitions to being silver and white. Um, I'm very protective of not pulling and twisting it because, again, it's fine and it's delicate. And I know I won't have hair or a hairline. I think I really stopped it in this traction alopecia from pulling on my hair, teasing it, trying desperately to get it to do something it could never do or to be. So I found time and again, none of the styles that I tried on YouTube, they never work on my hair. They never work because then my hair would be looking sparse. If I was twisting my hair, you would be seeing my scalp. So I don't have any parts, right? They're all kind of parting systems. You know, I I would have loved sister locks, but I know the frustration of sitting in a chair for hours, even if it's a couple times, once a month, or a couple times a year. I'm not going to do that. It makes me think of being claustrophobic. And one of my good friends had the best. She's a sister lock stylist. She doesn't do it anymore, but had the best sister locks I have ever seen. Again, years before, decades, almost 4 decades before. But I knew I need ease and comfort and to be able to do my own hair, right? My mother is big on, she's always like, I can do my own hair, my own nails, child. And so my mother has very long nails. It surprised me. I was encouraging her to go back to natural from her dark and lovely perm. And as a matter of fact, a version of this with a perm is the way that I saw my mother wear her hair quite often. But it looks different on this hair. And eventually most of our hair gets broken off in the back for some reason, especially in the back. That's not many people not knowing how to care for the relaxer. Well, why there shouldn't be another word for relax, because relax, it kind of denotes like something is stressed out with the hair. We need to relax the hair. I don't know. I'm not really feeling that. But my hair is relaxed. Actually, I don't have any oil. I don't do any twisting. I can't get any more relaxed than that. I don't have any more buildup. Those things are non-issues. So it's such an epiphany to me that I just don't, again, it's another chapter in my natural hair journey, right? I returned to natural almost 30 something years ago. Locks have been another chapter in my natural hair journey, but I don't need to do anything to myself to feel attractive. So I really love vintage styles. And I have found, similar to the Afro, our hair can be coiled and turned in so many different directions. And I really would love for women to know that we have options with our hair, that we don't have to go broke for beauty. We don't have to compromise our health. We can wear our own skin. We can wear our own hair and skin and feel really relaxed with our own features. right? I have a little vintage jacket on today that feels really and comfortable, and it's natural cotton that can breathe, right? When you're wearing natural fibers and wearing vintage clothing, you can, being that it's a lot less expensive, you can experiment with it so much more to find styles that you feel really comfortable in, and certain cuts and styles that really complement your body. So if you find the silhouettes, right? So I really follow silhouettes, which I think is important. Silhouettes for our hair in terms of the way it falls, right? Initially, our hair grows this way. Initially, doesn't have hang time. It doesn't grow this way, right? It takes a while for it to grow this way. And if you're not twisting your hair and you're not slicking it and slicking down the edges, I have found it has a different silhouette. So again, going further and retraining my eyes, I had to retrain my eyes, right? There were certain times I was like, oh, it would look different. It would look nice if I put styling gel. But I was like, no, I'm not going to put the styling gel because that's not sustainable. I'm not going to be washing this off and taking wash. That's too much. I find it mentally, emotionally stressful. The undertone of that is that this is not good enough. Once again, I have to hide or dramatically alter the hair. So what I am saying with my little Afro locks over in this corner of the universe is that the silhouette for this, what people call 4C hair, I would say fine Afro textured hair, is that it's going to be fluffy at the root. Now, embracing the afro or the fluff at the root, it solves so many issues, problems, challenges. Retraining the eye, right? Because people, you may even listen to your own internal dialogue. It's not neat. It doesn't look polished. I can't go to work. And people will launch right into, just my perspective, all the reasons, excuses, and reasons why we can't wear our hair. I can't wear my hair short. And now there are many women suffering from traction alopecia, right? We're so stressed trying to make the hair look a certain kind of way, but we're exacerbating the problem because we feel vulnerable, we don't feel attractive, right? Why else would we put glue right on the skin that is toxic onto our skin and put 20 layers of makeup till we don't even look like ourselves, right? I'm not making it bad or wrong, it's your choice. But that is stressful. I'm saying as a woman, if we are honest, that's a lot of stress. That's a lot of money. If we had to think about our budget, that's a lot of money year after year, right? But embracing the afro, and perhaps this is an option, a viable option to go down the rabbit hole of seeing what happens if you leave the hair alone. So I can tell you, for one, no problems with dandruff. It's creative. No oil on my pillow. That's not contributing to acne. You can experience growth because there are protective hairstyles. I would call this restful hairstyles, right? These are things that I've found over the years with going down that rabbit hole to see what my fine Afro textured hair can do. So I would call this restful styling, right? I can't get any more restful than that, right? Where my hair was 4 or 5 double strand twists, now that the twists have matured, I can see that they're teeny tiny and compact, right? So that's how I discovered that twisting is not ideal for this hair. Also, going back and forth with oils, the oils felt fantastic going on initially, but I can see how they started to draw dirt and dust and get lodged in with buildup. Now, after several years, I can see I don't have the buildup issue at all. I don't need the products and I don't need conditioner. Oh my gosh, how much does that free up? How much time and energy does that free up? I can sweat to my heart's content with my movement practice. This just makes life so much easier. There's so much space, also mental, emotional space for joy. Why would I say joy? Why, Kwasi, would you say joy? I say joy because feeling good is important, right? Makeup, no makeup, you decide, but being able to feel joyful in your own hair and skin with no makeup. Just finished the facial with my own stuff from my kitchen. But knowing that my hair, I feel, looks just as attractive as putting on somebody else's wig, I feel it's even more attractive because it was designed specifically for me. And it's to know that it's yours, right? Why else would we feel so happy and relieved to see now so many channels? There are all these channels now with women with this hair, with really kinky, tiny Afro textured hair, growing their hair down their back into their thighs. If we're honest, These are things we want to feel attractive with what we've got. And so there have been women taking their time to go down a rabbit hole to see what it can do. But also with very fine, kinky hair for folks, once it gets to a certain length, I remember buying the tangle tees and the detangling combs. When it seems like it's too much, it doesn't resonate with me because I'm prioritizing my time to my movement practice, my food, and my garden. Why? Because those are sustainable practices that really, you can maybe perhaps trade in a lot of medication for your movement practice and your garden and eating real food. And that may seem like it's so simple, but it is really, really not. That's why I say it's leverage. And being able to accept that, okay, on camera makeup is not the same thing as in live makeup, but just being able to accept the different tones in our skin and how the lighting is going to look, or what you may perceive as darker circles, the natural toning of our skin, what we actually really look like. Today, there's starting to be a disdain for seeing what we really look like, right? So to see women with their real faces as we mature, people feel disgusted by it, that's absolutely insane. If that is the case, then what is to be said for, how that affects you mentally and emotionally? We could be in alignment on a trajectory of taking medication because of how we're feeling about not fitting in or trying to make our hair and skin do something differently. I'm very, very clear that it is contributing to mental and emotional instability, not feeling good enough, which is going to drive a lot of our behaviors, right? A lot of us wanting to sedate because we don't feel good enough. So feeling good is important. Having hair that you feel joyous about is important. It's totally possible. That's to me that's what the epiphany is, right? That I feel happy with coming up. I used to call them accidental. Sometimes I jokingly call them accidental hairstyles, but they're not really accidental. I've stumbled on the styles creatively when I just embrace the characteristics, my natural characteristics. I don't need any sprays, right? I don't need the hairspray. I was listening to this lady because she had a different type of hair trying to hold it. She was like, oh, then you can put a whole lot of hairspray, the toxic aerosol in the cans. I can't imagine going to the beauty supply store and buying some cans of aerosol. Not good for the environment, not good for my lungs, another expense. Not that I'm cheap, but that I'm just not prioritizing that kind of experience. So understanding and seeing what I can do with my hair, literally, that is a joy. So I have a spontaneous smile when I pass the mirror, and I'm not in my 20s or my 30s or my 40s. And so I think I'm prioritizing that. And, I wonder subconsciously if many young women, the anxiety with buying so many palettes and so much clothes, again, there's nothing wrong with nice things, not at all. But when I look at a lot of the influencers, right, or celebrities, that's not real life for the average young girl. And sometimes I just want to yell, like, it's not reality. Since when do we follow all these celebrities? They're not living, their life is not your life. And so you're looking at, even on YouTube, people with closets full of stuff that it's only 365 days in a year. I find it mentally, emotionally cluttering. It's like an irritation. It feels like a suffocation having all this stuff. Even now, as I've been playing with lots of vintage clothes, which I get very inexpensively to play with, I know if I'm paying like $1 for something or $2 for something, that I can give it away. But it's been great for me to experiment and to find the silhouettes that complement my body. And I find a lot of them, the quality, I find more natural fabrics in the vintage clothing that I would find, especially when I'm traveling overseas, in the little, cute current clothing stores. The clothes are so cheap. Everything is so synthetic. They feel like plastic and you can't breathe. So the craftsmanship on vintage clothes, I find it's a lot better. So I think that is a viable option for women as a lifestyle. That's what I'm encouraging over here. So I have joy about my hair because there is a joy in knowing it's mine. It's creative. I like the style. It's something I can repeat. It's sustainable. It goes right along with my fitness. I can sweat to my heart's content. It's not sweating. A lot of times I'll say sweat out your afro, sweat out your hairstyle. I have no smell because my scalp can breathe and the sweat can evaporate. So I can pull it into a ponytail, or it's just ideal, right? I don't have to use rollers. And I find that is very complimentary. Whether I need to dress it up, dress it down, it's flexible. What's the true cost? Is not costing me much. It's not costing me much uh, in terms of fiat currency, but it's also not debilitating me mentally or emotionally, causing me stress. That's one of the biggest things. Well, the fiat currency is big too, but mentally and emotionally. As a product junkie, how much black styling gel do we buy? We send everybody's children to college on, not making it bad or wrong, if that's for you, work it, right? Because I had my phase with styling gel. Though, as you acquire more life experience, at some point you will likely desire more ease. When I say ease and comfort, again, the epiphany of knowing that you can feel really attractive. And by the way, we're all at our most attractive when we're healthy, whatever your size, right? If you have a mindset of health, which goes with ease and comfort, your body acts. I'm gonna tell you as a trainer for years, and as a former fitness competitor, your body knows how to regulate itself to a healthy weight, right? It actually knows. It's just responding to your habits, right? And what you're putting into it. So if you're putting in non-foods, drying foods, salty foods, the foods are all flavoring. Flavoring is not necessarily food. And I'm a chef, traditionally trained chef, right? And I love eating. Though a lot of the things that we're eating, they're not food in the context of nourishment. They're not really nourishing yourselves, and they're giving you a lot of flavor, but there's no substance behind it. That's one of the reasons why you're still hungry. And if you also couple that with constantly being in fight or flight, well, then there you go, right? So that fight or flight, constantly having increased cortisol levels, which works in conjunction with insulin to have you store most of the substances masquerading as food because they're not fresh. You're storing most of them as adipose tissue, a fatty tissue, and that's also taxing the organs. It's actually simple. It's right underneath our nose. So ease and comfort in our skin, right? If you feel more at home and relaxed, you're less likely to be munching mindlessly, right? Without connecting, right, to your body. There's a disconnect, right? How else can we eat ourselves to the point of deformity, right? The stomach is small, right? But our midsections hanging out over our belt buckles, that's a red flag and a precursor for diabetes, heart disease, and high blood pressure. It is what it is. So what we're not making the connection, right? Or there's a disconnect with some of the marketing around body positivity, which I totally get body positivity. But what about the body positivity with enjoying the silhouette of your own hair? This doesn't get play like that, right? We're not getting the play for being able to mature and to become seasoned, which people say aging, in peace and with grace and with embrace, right? We're not being encouraged um, to mature gracefully with ease. Hopefully, by the time you get to a certain point of your life, you've paid enough dues, whatever that is, or you've had enough experience. We're like, you know what? I want to be comfortable. I want to be easy. Why am I stressing? Why am I stressing myself out? A lot of my habits that are supposed to be creating ease are actually giving me 4 or 5 more problems, robbing me of my vitality, robbing me of my energy, and making me a nervous wreck, turning myself inside out. That don't work for me. I don't know about you. So ease and comfort are the priority because the cost, again, wisdom, distinction. There's the fiat cost, but there is a cost to shame, to guilt, to doing things that you don't feel proud of. That has a cost. That's one of the things that have us eating, right? And sedating ourselves with food when you don't feel good about yourself. Why would you feel good about yourself if you're doing something, not other people, that you feel ashamed of and guilty of? People will come online and tell you they don't feel ashamed of things, but why else would we be, many of us, be medicating and self-medicating to such a point where we're killing ourselves, or all our teeth are falling out, or our vitality and our skin is compromised? So it's really for us to use some discernment around what we're taking in online, right? And to discern the undertones. You can hear the lingo or the words coming out of people's mouths. But if you were to sit quietly and to be more discerning and to know the undertone, right? With all anybody can tell you anything, but this is not the season to only go by words that people are saying. By the way, all of who we are is not our hair, and definitely not our weight. There's so much weight on the scale. That doesn't say enough about the whole person. Yet, health is our priority. These are through the roof. So that says to me, right, for my young discerning flowers, that most people are not going to be honest. Um, when an age where certain things are undetectable. So people will tell themselves they don't actually have something if they're undetectable. Why? Because it's guilt and shame. So it is for us to be discerning about what we're allowing into our psyche, our panties, and our pocketbook. To be extremely discerning, because people don't mind sharing their mindset with you and sedating and numbing out with you. But we're the people that will share, and I'm not talking about from a culty religious point of view, but we're those people that will share discipline with you, or the joys of the benefits of their exercise and of a positive lifestyle, right? Those are the things I like to come together on. So on this channel, I share, again, 3 lifestyle practices, leverage lifestyle practices, because they give you back so much more for your time. Those are peaceful consumption, food that demonstrates that it loves you back. Whatever label you want to put on yourself, knock yourself out. A daily personal movement practice, right? The 5 a.m. workout. That's a standard. It has been for years, and that's not going to change. Why? Because it works and it's sustainable, right from your own home. And then the third one is garden/nature therapy. All of these activities actually have chemical responses, hormonal responses in your body. Hint, hint. You can get dopamine, serotonin, feel-good drugs from your own body that are not toxic, that are not taxing, that are not toxic and not taxing to your kidneys, your liver, your spleen, your brain, right? Everybody's so concerned about the muscle and the skin that you're not thinking about what makes it all happen, which are your organs. So a lot of our popular lifestyle habits are really dramatically depleting our vitality. So the true cost of fitness or lack thereof, or style and fashion, what's the true cost that you're spending? And how do you want to feel in your clothes? You can have a little litmus test. If you find that you're spending, yet you feel like you need to keep having more, then can you really say that you feel good in your clothes? At what point is it enough? Right? Are you able to just rely on enjoying your time in your body where you really feel like you don't need much? So you can take your focus and energy and shift it towards your movement practice, travel, actually being present and spending time with yourself in the garden and those that you're close to or those that share in that kind of value. So how are you setting the tone for your day and how you're feeling your body? I know that one of the best ways I set the tone for my day is with movement. I can't say enough about a daily personal movement practice as being the foundation, cultivating a foundation of healthy esteem, right? Each time you come to your mat, knowing that you're doing something for the health of your heart, literally, so that you don't have to be on medication, doing something for your mood, so you don't have to be on medication, right? Doing something for your arteries, so you don't have to get a stent put in your heart, right? Doing something for your waist, so you don't have to wear 2 and 3 girdles and waist trainers and Spanx. So you can literally be comfortable in your skin because your body's not, it's not broke down productions being held together with 20 medications and scotch tape, right? Because you're investing, you're making a literal, not in your imagination, right? Because this is age of everybody's on astrology and tarot cards. And sometimes I'm like, but it doesn't have any action, any consistent action attached to it. And we're using it, many people using that as a form of escapism and as a way not to be accountable for our actions. We're hiding. This might not be you. If it ain't you, let it fly. Hiding behind astrology, asking random ghosts on the internet and religion when we don't get to the meat of what do we need to leave out in terms of our actions and our consumption. What practices, lifestyle consumption practices, do we need to let go because we know in our quiet moments they're providing a consistent result and are not serving us? So how we're consuming in terms of clothing, makeup, too much, too little, food, what we're watching, right? You could read all the astrology, self-help books, get more papers and degrees. If we still have a lot of self-sabotaging behaviors, that's telling us something. But we're being lulled into a space where many of us are complacent with. We just want to be seduced and sedated. We want to be seduced and sedated, and there's no shortage of people willing to take your money. If you want to submit to being seduced by caricatures online that is not real life and sedated, and then when you turn off these screens, you feel like something's missing, you're not good enough, but it's not real. So your health and a healthy lifestyle is actually something you can sustain. A lot of it is what you leave out that is causing the problem. If that's toxic relating to individuals, if that's toxic relating in terms of what you're watching and listening to, a lot of the music is, I wonder why a lot of women don't walk away from the music. You know, I don't know everything. I'm not, but I made a decision many years ago when I saw certain foul behavior to children to just disengage, walk away, not to invest, not to give it your, definitely not give it your money or your time, right? To walk away from what is not beneficial, to remove yourself from harm's way. Wisdom this morning. So sending you all some warm, positive vibrations. I invite you, please share down in the comments. Is there anything that you have identified as we're moving into this new season, at least by the Greco-Roman calendar, but you can use that, right? As we're moving into a new season, have you identified anything that you know that is not working for you, has provided a consistent result that is not ideal for you, it's not in alignment with the vision you have for your life? Can you identify, not just, I want to get detox kits and more teas and stuff. Have you identified something or some things, habits or substances or ways of relating that it would tremendously benefit you to leave them behind forever? Let me know down in the comments, inviting you to create a great day. Feel free to replay this while you are doing a decluttering session, perhaps while you are prepping and cutting up your fruits and vegetables, or maybe perhaps while you're stretching or doing a movement practice. Coaching is today, Sunday at 2 p.m. Reach out to me if you'd like to be considered for mentoring and coaching. The coaching is around whole living foods and fitness as a lifestyle, not a diet, not about the labels, it's about the results. If you're interested in mentoring, reach out to me, info@body-culinary.com. Do download, I don't talk enough about download a copy of Whole Living Foods in the Hood with menus to fit your budget. There's natural beauty, no products, and there's also emergency preparedness, right? A vegan survival guide. Even if you're not vegan, being able to subsist and sustain yourself and thrive off of foods that you can grow. You can find that on the Body-Culinary website, and also the Cocoon Retreat is available on the Body-Culinary website. Create a great day on purpose. Like, comment respectfully, and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Again, set your timer for the 5 a.m. workout. At least you can join in on the beginning part of the warm-up, which is a workout in and of itself. We move because of the way it makes us feel. Looking cute is just a benefit, but this is the main form of therapy that you can administer to yourself if you have space for a mat. See you soon.